Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty Roundtable Radio Talk Show.
You know, people get ambassadorships for a couple of reasons. Sometimes they pay a bunch of money to get them. Other times, ladies and gentlemen, you get them because they want you to kind of go away and shut the heck up. And I think of Kimberly Guilfoyle, Gavin Newsom's ex-wife, who hung out with Donald Jr. and, you know, they had a good girlfriend-boyfriend time for a while. But then, hey, you know what? Things aren't going too well. You got to get rid of her. What do? I mean, she used to be on the campaign trail. She used to get like $60,000 for a, 30-second introduction of somebody else kind of a thing, right? And she was kind of in the limelight and everything else. And then, you got to do something with her. So they put her through an ambassadorship. Haven't heard a word about her or from her since. Very, very strange. Now, Kari Lake, she was going to take on the media and just throw down and get rid of government media and everything else. And then a judge didn't like what she did and all this kind of stuff. And now Kari Lake's getting an ambassadorship. Now, just so you know, an ambassador like her would garner probably $200,000 a year. Then, of course, you get an entertainment budget, you get housing, you get transportation, you get security, you get everything that costs us real money on top of it. So really, it's like a $500,000, dollar a year kind of a deal. $200,000 is your base salary, kind of thing. I think they're doing it to shut up Kim, and I think they're doing it now to shut up Kari. Lance, what do you say?
Listen, there's no doubt that those ambassadorships are coveted positions because they come with so many amenities. In the case of, Kim, yeah, I absolutely think so. I think probably Kim had lots of entertaining times with Donald Trump Jr. They didn't want any of that to go public. I don't know how unhappy she was about the breakup or if it was mutual, but at the end of the day, of course, she immediately got that ambassadorship early on to Greece. That came right out of the gate with that. So sure, that was probably some hush money style payment. She sure as heck didn't pay for that position like many other people do. You'll see the people that get appointed to ambassadorships, take a look at their rank and file in the D.C. who's who. And now look, with Kari Lake, I said it. I got into troublesome people. I said that I was uncomfortable with Kari Lake and I was uncomfortable with Wendy Rogers. Both of them made me uneasy. I think there was some issues with both of them. I said it early on. People went after me, even the people from the Dilly meme team, not all of them, but some of them blocked me.
What is it, your BS meter? Is that what gets you on this one?
Yeah, Warlord Dilly, he likes to refer to himself as. He's become kind of unimportant since he's kind of become a non sequitur in D.C. He had a little bit of a fallout with Donald Trump over some things. But, he came out and goes, you can't talk about them like that. You don't know. I don't blindly follow anybody, but again, if they're going to be handing out ambassadorships, I'd like one. I think Sam would like one. And if I can't get the ambassadorship, then I would like Secretary of Gaming and Casinos in Cuba. Since my people started it down there, go ahead and give me that position.
That'll be right down your alley, brother.
Casinos great again in Cuba. And, look, give me a position. I worked for the administration, meaning I've done all my extra work. Sam, you've done all of that.
Amen to that.
Where's our prize? Where's our gift from the administration? I mean, for God's sakes, they don't even want the admin to do interviews on our shows because neither one of us will softball that interview, and they know it.
Well, and I won't attack them intentionally, but I will ask some hard questions. I will treat them decently and respectfully and everything else, but I will not just ignore the elephants in the room kind of discussions. And I will ask hard questions, constitutional questions, grounded in reality and checks and balances and grounded in protection for the American people. Now, I've decided where my ambassadorship needs to be.
Where's that?
It's either going to be Texas or Costa Rica.
Texas. All right. I mean,
let me tell you why Costa Rica, because it would be a great place just to hang out.
Or $5 million real estate purchase.
It'd be a mellow climate, right? I could go to Costa Rica and just chill.
Yeah.
Or the other thing I could do is I can go to Texas because, some people are saying it's going to secede from the union and that it's already kind of its own deal. They got their own power grid and everything else, and they've got kind of different situation than most states. But if I went to Texas, then my job would be to try to keep them as part of the United States. What do you think?
I think that's important, but at the end of the day, maybe we need to stop doing all this great work for the people, trying to unify the country one episode at a time. Maybe we ought to just get into the money. And if we want the real money, Sam, if you want the real grift, if you want the real access to insider trading and the real ability to just violate the laws of the United States, then you've got to make a congressional run. That's how you become fabulously wealthy. Look at MTG. She went into Congress with not very much money. Now she's a multi-millionaire. She bought herself a $5 million property in Costa Rica. I mean, if you want the big money,
wait a minute, maybe she's already got the ambassadorship and we're just waiting for it to be announced.
Yeah. I mean, if you want the cheddar, Sam, you've got to go Congress. That's how you can violate laws with immunity and impunity. And you,
yeah, but I'll get attacked along the way. See, if they just appoint me to an ambassador and I can just disappear like Kimberly Guilfoyle, or, I could just be like Kari Lake and be like, oh, yeah, I look forward to this appropriate negotiations, and then I can just kind of vanish and not be attacked. It'll be kind of a preferable road, I'm thinking. But don't worry. Don't worry about this at all, because Donald Trump was asked, about the American people and their financial well-being with the increased gas prices and everything else. And Trump literally blatantly said, quote, I don't think about America's financial situation. He doesn't think about that at all. Now think about a president saying that, Lance.
Well, look, that's the quiet part out loud, but I also...
It's a bad look, though, man.
Yeah, it's a bad look. Although I have to think I put this in context. It was in the context of him, talking about the negotiation with Iran, and that he doesn't really think about other things when he's negotiating with Iran. But that being said, I think this was a very bad choice of words. And I think the truth of the matter is, it's relatively accurate. I mean, look, he's a billionaire. He doesn't have a lot of concerns. It's not like he's worried about paying his power bill or making his car payments or paying his rent or going to the grocery store. I'm sure Donald Trump has never bought his own groceries. I can't see him having ever gone to a grocery store in his whole lifetime. I don't think that's what happens in the Trump world. I don't think it happened because he came from a very wealthy family to begin with. I don't know if he's ever even stepped foot inside of a grocery store. My comment would be, this is what I expect. Look at the China trip that's on board. I mean, Sam, I'm uneasy. I don't like it. I don't like the way these CEOs and these affluent billionaires just get to ride on his coattails, a lot of them riding right in Air Force One. Why are they going to China right now when the important negotiation is China's relationship with Iran? That's why that trip is going on. But all of a sudden, it's turned into a crypto billionaire ride along, ride or die group. I don't know how you feel about that, but there's a lot of things. So when Donald Trump says to me, I don't care about Americans' financial situation, yeah, he said the quiet part out loud.
He did. I agree 100%. I'm just telling you that Donald Trump it seems to me like he's in self-destruction mode. Now, you could say, Sam, you're crazy, but I look at every bit of this, and he had cultivated MAGA for so long and had so many groups supporting, so many groups giving him hope, and now it just seems like he just doesn't care at all. And even if you don't care about what the American people are suffering or dealing with their own economy and their finances, it's something you would never in your right mind say. So I don't know what's happening here, but to me it seems like Trump is almost intentionally self-destructing, and I don't really understand why. But at the end of the day, now he's in China with some big tech folks. He says, I want to talk about, trade. I don't want to talk about Iran. Does he think that the communist leader in China is just going to be like, okay, Donald, you control the game. You control the shots. We'll discuss what you want to. What would you like to say, Don? Does he think it's going to be that way? If so, he's an idiot. Now, I think he's trying to just, pitch a good pitch to the American people and all that. But at the end of the day, this is going to be about Iran. This is going to be about, when he comes out, they're going to say, hey, we worked out. It was really good. Awesome. We're great buddies. And at the end of the day, we're not going to know anything what really happened, because they're really discussing AI, big tech, the economy, trade, Iran, just about everything under the sun. And how are you going to avoid Iran when you're blocking China from getting Iranian oil, right? You can't not discuss that elephant, Lance.
Well, look, 40% of those people that are going along with him, the ride or dies, they're big crypto people. All of them are crypto supportive, and of course, the Chinese government is giving out mixed signals as far as crypto. There's still tons and tons of restrictions, and don't believe that for 1 minute Donald Trump behind the scenes isn't hoping that he can convince China to stop the restrictions and open up the people of China to full crypto access. Right? We're talking about billions and billions of people. Donald Trump has made billions in his crypto empires. He's doing incredibly well with everything he's doing. And of course, he'd love to have one of the biggest populations in the globe, if not the biggest population, get access without any restrictions. So I think behind the scenes, it's always about pushing his financial gains. And I don't think it's so much that he doesn't care about MAGA, but when MAGA didn't just go along blindly on this Epstein file cover up, and when MAGA, came online and said, "Hey, what happened to the deep state clear out? What happened to the arrests?" That's when, because he is a very narcissistic guy. I tell him that if I talk to him directly. He shows an incredible amount of selfishness, and that's the way he even operates with his own family, especially when it comes to the Trump empire. Look, he didn't like that people weren't just going to go, "We're going to do whatever you say, sir." That's not what it is, and that's not what we're doing. So that's my concern, is that he is worried more about his finances than what.
Well, and now he's got the crypto people. He was against crypto, and now he's for crypto. He was against, the attacks on the American people, and now he seems like he doesn't care. We'll talk about it more with Lance in seconds.
Are you watching what's happening in our country and asking, what can I do? Join the John Birch Society in Salt Lake City, June 6th, for a powerful one-day conference. The day includes a host of respected speakers, 2 meals, and meaningful connections. You'll gain clarity on the issues and walk away with practical steps you can take to your community. Reserve your seat today at jbs.org/SLC26. That's jbs.org/SLC26.
Scott Bradley here. Most Americans are painfully aware that the nation is on the wrong track and in dire straits. Unfortunately, most political pundits only nibble around the edges when they claim to address the issues. Even worse, many of the so-called solutions are simply rewarmed servings of what got us into the mess we currently face. And the politicians think we're so gullible and naive that we'll buy their lies that they have reformed, and now understand where they led us astray. Unfortunately, the truth of the matter is that they simply wish to continue to hold power. The solution to America's challenges is found in returning to the timeless principles found in the United States Constitution. My book and lecture series will reawaken in Americans an understanding and love of the principles which made this nation the freest, most prosperous, happiest, and most respected nation on earth. Visit topreservethenation.com and order my book and lectures to begin the restoration of this great nation.
All right, Lance Migliaccio with me, the Big Mig brother, thebigmig.com. Check out his award-winning broadcasts everywhere. He's a crypto expert as well. He does one of the most important and the highest-ranking Crypto Power Hour on Rumble. It's incredible. Check it out. thebigmig.com to learn more. Look for him on social everywhere. Just look for the Big Mig. Look for the Crypto Power Hour. Check it out. He also does a weekend broadcast on Liberty News Radio. Spread the word. Share the love about that. But Lance, so you got this crypto deal now. And Donald was against crypto, and then he flopped, and now he's for crypto. He didn't want Americans being spied on with FISA 702. Now he's all for it. And so it's very weird. He said he was going to go after all these people that attacked him. I don't see really any real action going after anybody at all necessarily. But at the end of the day, now the crypto stuff is starting to melt down because people are starting to lose jobs in crypto. How's that going to play for the next couple of years of the administration?
Well, I'm in the middle of writing a book called Blood in the Streets, which is really a reference to what, the Rothschilds said when it came to buying assets when they were down, taking an opportunity to buy things below market value that really were being unfairly pushed down. And what the reference is to AI. It's a golden opportunity for some, but it's going to be brutal for others. There is going to be a major meltdown. We're already seeing it. Thousands and tens of thousands of people are going to lose their jobs. So what you're seeing in the crypto world is the application of AI to replace people. Because let's face it, one of the most expensive pieces of overhead that any big company has is staff. And, that's partially...
sure, payroll's the biggest bill of any business, right?
No doubt. You've got payroll, and then you've got to add on top of it the things that go along with it. Workman's comp.
Yeah, you got to get everybody a Claude membership for $100 a month. Come on.
No, and that's the difficulty, right? That, of course, people that can be replaced are getting rapidly replaced from AI, although the CEOs are telling you, oh, no, don't worry, nobody's going to lose their job. That is not true. And
the CEOs are making more money hand over fist, their relationship to the average employee in terms of how much they make versus the average employee. It used to be a certain ratio kind of thing that was respectable, kind of a range. And that has changed over the last 10, 20, 30 years to where it's extravagant. I mean, the average worker makes this, The CEO makes some crazy number. And so while they're saying, oh, man, we got to do this because we got to save money or plow it into AI, plow it into whatever, they're making money hand over fist, though. So really what's happening is the middle class is being hollowed out, right?
Yeah, I mean, the people that are doing the true service industries, I would call them the blue collar bosses, the electricians, the plumbers. They're relatively secure right now because they're not having a high level of success yet. And I say yet, with putting AI into synthetics, I mean, robots that can actually perform those tasks. And of course, mechanics, same situation. Although automation is in the near term future, but it might be 10 years out to effectively completely replace individuals with an autonomous, robot that has AI to make all the decisions. But look, this is going to happen. And the only way you can stay ahead of the curve is entrenching yourself into this, I call it a new language. You have to entrench yourself. It doesn't matter whether you're using ChatGPT, Grok, DeepSeek, you name it, one of those things or all of them, like you and I do, Sam. We use all of them and we bounce between them because some of them are better at some tasks than others. But anybody that believes that we aren't going to continue to see this consolidation of staffing in the regular corporate world and especially in the crypto world, they've decided they see the ups and downs. It's still a very volatile product, crypto. I think it's falsely been deflated recently, but that's because of the immaturity of the majority of the population that really understands crypto is a much younger demographic. Buy and hold isn't really the name of the game. That's how these meme coins blew up with no utility, coins that really had no real value other than maybe a meme behind them, made a lot of kids incredibly wealthy, millions and millions of dollars. They boast about it online, but they don't have the fortitude right now or the knowledge. So they get in and out of crypto at a whim. They turn on a project very quickly. That's why on our show, the Crypto Power Hour, which by the way is the #1 crypto show on Rumble based on views, exceeding all other shows by thousands and thousands of views. And that's because we break it down in a language, Sam, that the average person can understand. It's a complex product, but it's here to stay. SWIFT is out. The new financial system is in. Decentralized finance and blockchain are not going anywhere. So you've got to learn that language. You've got to learn the language of AI. And I've got to tell you, if you want job security, you should become the individual that knows and how to use AI. I'm not saying it's going to happen immediately, but if a company has the choice, Sam, between picking an individual that doesn't understand AI and maintaining their job, or Sam Bushman, who understands AI implicitly and intimately, they're going to pick Sam. And again, that's the choices that are coming up. And these companies, they want higher profits. And you're right. It's because
there's no doubt about it. And not only that, this is no different than any other revolution that we've seen in the history of the world, though.
Well, look at the cotton gin. Of course, right. That changed it, but of course, then textiles took off because, raw materials were more readily available from the cotton gin. Anytime there's an industrial revolution or a technical revolution, you're going to see disruption. That's what it does. Now, they're claiming, Elon Musk wants to claim that we're heading into a time period when, this is going to be returned to the people and everybody's going to have more money than ever and more benefits and more opportunities than ever.
Yeah, don't lie.
I strongly disagree because I don't think these corporate executives are going to want trickle down. They're going to want bigger boats, bigger yachts, more exotic.
And that's why I pointed that out. That's what we're seeing happening.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch gears for a couple of other quick stories before the end of the hour. California mayor resigns. Arcadia mayor Eileen Wang admitted to working with Chinese government operatives to perpetuate propaganda in the United States. I guess now she's supposed to have 10 years in prison or whatever else. And I kind of think, what about the government people in America who create the propaganda? I'm not defending this lady. I'm just saying it's interesting how we catch her a Chinese kind of a operative or whatever, and now she's a criminal. What about all the people spreading intentional propaganda in America that work for the administration, like we just talked about? Or everybody's going to be fine, everybody's got a job, everything's good, and then we find out Trump doesn't even care about our finances at all. When he basically said so, he doesn't think about it, doesn't care about it, whatever. You kind of go, wow, so this Chinese chick now in prison.
Hey, we've seen this pattern going on over and over again. But isn't that the problem we have when you have people that have immigrated here? In her case, I think she came here legally. The point of the matter is, don't you have to have concerns in giving those people political positions? let's say they come from the Middle East, or they come from China, or they come from some other location, and even when they come here legally, I just don't know if those people should be allowed to run for government positions in either the state or federal government. I look at Ilhan Omar refusing to give over evidence in the Feeding Our Future $250 million money laundering and theft. So, this is a big deal. All right, Sam, I am out of time today, I think.
I understand. We'll let you fly, my friend. Godspeed. Thank you so much. We'll have you back soon.
Thanks, brother. We appreciate you guys.
Lance Migliaccio, ladies and gentlemen, always with us, doing a phenomenal job twice a month, making a big difference. So, yeah, this California mayor has to resign, and Lance is right. How are these people all getting elected? They come from India. They come from all these different places, China. Every one of them seems to come here. Somehow they're magically getting rich, getting wealthy, getting positions of influence. How does all that happen, right? That's kind of the big question that I have that I think is relevant. All right, now the Pentagon is facing big questions over the Iran war costs, they say. Now, I don't really think there's any serious questions about it. They say defense leaders are testifying before Congress as lawmakers press for answers about escalating costs and risk related to the growing Iran conflict. And I don't mean to be rude about this, but I got to ask Congress a real question. Are you guys really going to let Donald Trump go to war, spend billions of dollars, wait over 60 days, vote over and over and over to not rein in the Donald, advocate your responsibility, in other words, have a dereliction of duty, and then now you're going to start asking hard questions? You guys are clowns. I don't mean to be rude, but I'm just telling you, that is ridiculous. Look, we have got to think about and figure out ways to say, hey, we shouldn't have gone to war in the first place. We should have never let Trump do this. And Congress could have been the one to have stopped it. And I'm telling you, America must learn how to extract themselves, how to end wars responsibly, folks. And it starts with never getting in the war in the first place when you can help it, right? Most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, whenever possible, we need to make sure we're never the ones to start a war, right? The American people must demand leaders who know how to wage war if it's necessary for a defensive posture, but how to end it, okay? We need to pursue peace, bring conflicts to a responsible conclusion. Well, now they're just asking questions on the back end. The Pentagon's not going to give you answers. They're going to be as wily as Susan Wiles. They're just going to give you a line of crap. Asking questions isn't the answer. Taking responsibility is the answer, right? I mean, that's really the bottom line. I'm not trying to be offensive or rude. I'm just telling you, you don't just answer questions on the back end after the horse is already gone, like, hey, where'd the horse go? Did you feed the horse before it left? Do you know, is somebody trying to find the horse? Do you know, did the horse take its saddle with it? Hey, did you know that horse had a toothache before he left? That's serious. Okay, it's all too late. The horse is gone, baby. And that's what I'm saying here. You should have asked all these questions before you allowed President Donald Trump to go to war in the first place. You should be asking these questions saying, look, Trump, we gave you latitude. Now it's time to call a halt. We're going to put together a vote and a plan to say, look, if we need to be there, great. What are the objectives? If we don't need to be there, let's pull out. How do we do that responsibly? It's a lot of work, but I'm telling you, Congress has been given that charge by the supreme law of our land. In other words, a delegation by we the people. So Congress, get her done. That's all I'm saying. All right, I'm Sam Bushman. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you had a fantastic time. Hopefully it was educational and entertaining. Our prayers are with Vem Miller and his lawsuits against Chad Bianco. We got to have the truth come out, and we need to clear Vem's name. I'll tell you that right now. All kinds of news the networks refuse to use is available at libertyroundtable.com. Liberty News Radio, spread the word. That's the radio side. Also the TV side, Rumble, YouTube, X, Truth Social. We're everywhere, baby. Spread the word, share the love, and God save the Republic of the United States of America.